We look all over Colorado for inspirational stories to share with you. And when we called on the team at Adaptive Adventures, they were like, oh, you've got to meet cyclist Lacey. Well, her journey back from injury to victory is kind of mind-blowing, and we want you to know more about her. Not only that, but we can help her and her fellow cyclists in the Love, Sweat, and Gears team race across America. Well, here's Lacey's story.
All right, Lacey, it's so awesome to sit here and talk to you today. You have such an incredible story. Can you tell me your story?
Yeah, I mean, to start off with, I've always been an athlete, an adventurer, adrenaline junkie. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So when I moved out to Colorado about 4 years ago, I got into the sport of triathlon, and through that, I found a love for cycling.
Yeah.
So I really honed in on that, and I don't do small things. I tend to dive in and dive in hard. So my team had heard about an upcoming race. It was a race across the West at the time, a 930-mile endurance race.
Oh my God, okay, yeah.
I know, just a few miles, you know.
Yeah.
And we decided, you know, there's 4 of us, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, let's do it, why not?
Yeah.
I was outside of Parker, Arizona, and it's a 4-person relay team, so there's always 1 person on the road.
Okay.
And I happened to be the lucky rider at the time, or unfortunate time, I don't know how you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
But I was struck by a semi-truck on the road. So obviously I went down, and I went down pretty hard.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough not to lose consciousness, so I can tell you every little detail that happened after the impact.
Yeah.
My first instinct, I had a radio on my collar, so I moved my hand up to call for help. It was to our follow vehicle that was close by, so they responded.
Yeah.
And by doing the collar move, I realized I had mobility in my arm still. So my initial reaction was just like, oh my gosh, like, be as big as you can without moving.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I waved my arm, trying to flag whoever might be coming.
Yeah.
Luckily, a pickup truck stopped. It was a sweet older couple. And they did the best they could to control the scene.
Sure.
At the time. And my crew got back to me, and the race crew got there, and local emergency response vehicles ended up getting there about 45 minutes later.
Wow.
From there, they airlifted me. They took me in an ambulance to flight pad, and they airlifted me to Phoenix. Where I went into emergency surgery. I went into ICU,
Yeah.
and I spent about a week and a half in recovery. And then from there, I moved over to the rehab unit that was in the adjoining hospital, where I spent another couple weeks in inpatient rehab. It's an ongoing recovery process.
I bet. Well, and you talk about the emotional healing. I think that, I'm sure you could say this yourself, but I think anybody who's listening right now would say you're lucky to be alive today after something like that happens.
Yeah.
How do you get back on a bike after that happens? Not only physically, but emotionally too.
It's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I had a really good neurosurgeon that was blown away that I wasn't paralyzed, which really hit home. But after that, after the surgery, he was very clear with, your flexibility will be limited, but there's nothing stopping you from physically doing it. And when you hear, or somebody like me hears that, it's like, okay, you're saying there's a chance.
Right, yeah.
So it was really about figuring out, okay, how do we make this happen? For me, I was like, you have to figure out the why, you have to figure out the grit, you have to figure out the motivation, you have to figure out what drives you. And there's nobody putting limitations on things like that. It's up to you as an individual. And I think, getting back on the bike, part of it was a healing process for me. It was incredibly challenging, and I'm very thankful that I had the teammates I had surround me. My teammates really protected me, even to when we did get back on and get on a road like this. This is kind of normal, which is kind of scary to think about.
Right.
I'm fortunate enough now that I'm in a spot where I can talk about it,
Right.
and it really helps. I think it helps me process it, but I'm really hoping that connection translates to the viewers as well, and people that are struggling with similar things, that you can do it. You just have to dig deep. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it.
Tell me about Love, Sweat, and Gears and about your teammates. What is all of this all about?
A lot of things. Love, Sweat, and Gears is a local nonprofit that we ride for. Our coach is a co-founder of the nonprofit, and Julie Lyons is an amazing individual, and her main focus is helping more novice style athletes get into endurance cycling, and we fit the T. So we signed on with her close to 4 years ago at this point, and it's been a bond that is unbreakable at this point. We're in the circle of trust, so you can't really break that.
Before I leave you, Lacey, you obviously have had such, a huge comeback from something that happened. It's such a hard thing to go through.
Yeah.
What is your message for anybody out there, regardless of what their, big obstacle is?
Yeah.
You have just such a great drive. So
Yeah.
what's your message? How do you motivate people?
How do I motivate people? That's a great question. People have asked me that quite a bit. They're like, you should be a professional speaker. It's like,
Should be.
I don't know about that one. But I think people just need to change the perspective a little bit and realize that anything is possible. It's just the motivation, the heart behind it, and overcoming adversity is something that can be done. Surround yourself with the right people. If you're having, luckily I had my team, if my situation was a little bit worse, I would have needed help to get back on a bike, and it probably wouldn't have looked like this. And that's where our charity partner for the race comes in, Adaptive Adventures. They help customize bikes for injury. So it really helps people have that opportunity. So at the end of the day, don't give up on what you love. You got to find a way to accomplish it and make it happen.
I love it. Lacey, thank you so much, and good luck on your race.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on.
Yes.
Great words. And we are going to follow the Love, Sweat, and Gears team through their journey for the win in the world's toughest bicycle race, the Race Across America that's happening in June. And they need your donations and support to raise money for the team's training and their community efforts. Donating is super easy. Just scan the QR code on the screen or go to the team's website. That's lovesweatandgears.net.